You have a good night's sleep? Yeah? Or did you go win all the money on the strip? Anybody get rich? Anybody no longer need this certification because you have all the money? No? Good. I'm so happy. The world needs you. So who's excited about today? Yeah, you excited? All right, good. Me too. We're going to, let me just walk you through a few things. And again, today, we're not going to have visuals up on the screen. Those are going to be added later. So much of this is going to follow, at least loosely, it's going to follow the workbooks, but not completely. As if you've followed me for any period of time, you know that I tend to go off the reservation sometimes to the dismay of my team. They're like, stay on the outline. I'm like, yeah, but I had an idea. So sometimes I'll pivot, sometimes I'll make adjustments, sometimes those will show up in future workbooks, etc., right? But I'm glad you're all in different seats. You all look fancy. You all look good. Not everybody's in different seats, but some of you are. As you can see, my voice, it's a little lower today. I'm gonna once we kick it off, I'll try and amp it up. But I have the same look, same brand, same everything. So I will ramp it up because yesterday I wasn't feeling my best, but I hope it didn't show at least too bad, you know. I'll be Barry White today. What else can I tell you? We're gonna do some crowd participation stuff again before lunch, but I want to get into the training, get things moving. You feel a little bit more confident when it comes to at least the sales philosophy and sales concept. You feel more equipped to be able to go home and create more results and help other people do the same? Yes? Good. That's the intention of all of this. I'm really excited about this entire program, and I'm proud of all of you, not only for being involved, because there's, many hundreds of people involved around the world, but you came here. You didn't have to do that. A lot of people from around the world. But I think you're the smart ones because you just get a different experience, don't you think? Being in the room. Those at home, they're still going to get a good experience. Those who just order this and watch the certification recordings later, they get certified later, they're still going to get tremendous benefit, What I've learned, one thing I'll just have you throw into your notes, just the word repetition. Don't sleep on the concept of repetition. And there's a tendency to, especially when you attend an event like this, you attended it. You take those notes, you kind of go home, you put them on the side, they sit on your desk. And it's the reason why early on in my career, live events and video were not my greatest teachers. You know what my greatest teachers was? Audio programs. When you used to have the ability to play an audio in your car, not, with your AirPlay or whatever, but remember the cassettes that used to flip over? They'd flip over and keep flipping over back and forth. Some of you are like, what are you talking about? But back in those days, my car was a drive time university for real. I listened to programs that worked for me 100 times. I listened to this one program from Jim Rohn called The Challenge to Succeed. And then he had The Challenge to Succeed in the 90s, he titled it. But I maybe listened to that thing 1,000 times. It's 3 hours long, 3,000 hours of my life. And here's the great thing about repetition. Every time you listen to something, you hear something different. You are a different person. The content didn't change, but your awareness changed, your experience changed, your knowledge changed. You've been out there in the world, and based upon what you experience in the world, you bring something different to the listening. And sometimes you just got distracted. There are some things yesterday that were talked about went straight over your head. You didn't even hear it because you were thinking about some concept that you're going to apply and how it was going to, relate to somebody on your team, or what you were going to do when you got home, and I got to call the kids or whatever, and you missed it. So I want to encourage you as we start this today is just put this into your notes that these courses you're going to put on repeat. So what I would do is when you're working, have them in the background in your house. Put them up on the TV and just let them play. Your subconscious brain will hear them. There are times when you listen to stuff and you're taking notes. There's times when you're listening and you're just working out or something. There's times when you're listening and you don't even know that you're listening. It's just there, but it's dripping on you. It's feeding your mind. It's guarding your mind from other thoughts. It's continuing to work on you. So just because this is on video and in a workbook, resist the urge to say, yeah, I went through it. I mean, think about it this way. Somebody attends this live, they take their notes, they go home, and they go to work. Another person does the same, but they listen to this with intention 5 times. The whole course, 5 times. Then another person does it 10 times. They go home, go to work, and review it 10 times. Another person goes home, goes to work, reviews it 25 times. Who's going to have the better result? Over time. I mean, it's just kind of obvious, right? As far as really internalizing the information, because it's part of plan, do, review. We make a plan, we do it, and we review it. This is kind of making a plan. And then you got to go out in the world, try these concepts, and then go back to the information and go, oh, that's what that meant. I didn't really realize that. All right, I'm going to go apply it again. Go back again. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The workbooks that you have now are great. I'd love them over the course of the next 3 years to be just tattered and battle worn and in the margins and little highlights. And you ever have somebody who's like devoted to reading their religious text that in their Bible or whatever is just one of my prized possessions is my grandma. My grandma on my dad's side was the matriarch of the family. She's the first person in the family to become a Christian. She prayed everybody into submission. She was relentless. She was the first marketer in our family, but she was marketing salvation, right? She was an unbelievable recruiter. But regardless of your faith, one of my prized possessions is I have one of her Bibles, and she had, like 4 of them. So different people got one after she passed. This thing, I had to put it in a box because it's beat to death. It is just beat up and highlighted and underlined and notes, and the cover's half falling off, but I'd rather you not have a pristine workbook at some point, that you really go work on it, okay? Regardless, and forgive my, I'm not here to talk about a particular faith. Whatever your faith is, I respect. I think we are all spiritual beings in one way or another. We're all on a journey trying to figure this thing out. So I don't pretend to have any answers. I'm still a student trying to learn this stuff. Okay, so I think that's it. We're 4 minutes after the top of the hour. Are you ready to get into recruiting? Oh, yeah. All right.
One last thing, Eric, sorry.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please check the tops of your tables if you have anything that has a company logo?
Oh, thank you.
Please remove it so that we don't have extra editing to fuzz all that out.
Or hide it or something.
Yep, just put it away. Thank you so much.
And that'll be a bigger deal when we do our audience participation stuff. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sessions today and a wrap up. And but before I start, there will be some repetition today. And let me tell you why there's some repetition. The customer sales cycle is very similar to the recruiting sales cycle. It's a completely different intention. So I have to talk about it twice. You know, that customer cycle is a little lighter. It's like the light version. Find a prospect, connect, invite, present, follow up, close, you know, give it a try. Way different than find a prospect, connect with that one, and for a business decision. But it's a similar cycle, okay? So if you're like, wait a minute, we talked about third party. Yeah, we did, but now it's a different conversation. How are we going to use third party? How much more do we need to use third party? How many more exposures do we need to have in follow-up? Totally different conversation, okay? So if you feel like, and these are standalone certifications, so I can't, like, as we talked about yesterday, I'm going to, you know, my team's already reminded me, hey, please don't. This is by itself. So I'll do my best to avoid that. And whatever we can't avoid, we will edit. So you ready to give me all the best energy you got? Okay. Good. So let's get started. Ready? 5, 4. Hello. And welcome to Recruiting Mastery. I'm excited to be able to share some ideas with you on how you can increase the recruiting in your business. Recruiting is by far the number one pain point in network marketing. And it's not even close. Sales is not it. The other skills are not it. Attending events, that's not the biggest pain point. People just get discouraged because they can't build a team. And if you can't build a team, you have a sales job. And if you have a sales job, there will come a time when you've made your last sale. So if we want to be able to have a business that will scale, will grow, will increase the quality of the income that you generate from your business, recruiting is an important piece of that. So there's 5 things that we do. 5 things that we do in this profession. Number 1, we sell. We sell valuable products to people using word of mouth advertising. We educate people to the point that they understand what we have in relation to our products we sell. Number 2, we recruit an ever-expanding team of other people who are selling. Now, make no mistake, we don't get compensated directly from recruiting. We get compensated only directly from a sale. That's the only way we get paid. However, I think it would make sense for most people if we can recruit and those people can sell and we can get credit for those sales, we can start to create some leverage in our business. Leverage begins to show up. So recruiting is number 2. Retention is number 3. It's one thing to bring them in, customers and distributors. It's another thing to keep them around. Number 4 is duplication. How do you create duplication in your organization so it's not all on you, that it continues to expand beyond you? Very, very important. And number 5 is leadership. leadership. We increase the productivity of our teams based upon how good of a leader we can be. Okay? So, and in this certification course, we've added a 6th certification because we have certifications on all 5 of those. 6th, which is presentation. Learning how to be a great presenter. And presentation is just a wildly important standalone skill that we're going to certify you on in this program. So those are the 5 things that we do. And making sales is great. Some people, when they get involved, just focus on customers. And that's great. That's what creates the sales, but it doesn't create the leverage that you want. I want you to pay attention to the word leverage, because this entire certification experience is about creating leverage for you. Something that's not all on you, something that's not just about you. Leverage. You cannot get wealthy in this world without leverage. Did you know that? You just can't do it. I remember we grew up in kind of lower middle class upbringing, loving family, but we lived on one side of the tracks and there was another side of the tracks that was fancy people. I remember I would go, there was this street in Minneapolis where I lived called Ferndale. It was on the lake. And I would walk that street. I'd ride my bike, and then I'd just walk that street, and I'd look at these mansions on the lake. And I'd go, how? How is it possible? This is a $2 million house. And somebody took that, and they paid for that after they paid their taxes. So I tried to do the math. Like, how much do you have to make in order to pay the tax, in order to spend $2 million on a home? That means you have to earn $4 million, let's say, in order to pay all the tax and live your life, in order to be able to have $2 million left over and buy this house. Okay. Average person, I don't even know what the average person made back then, but today the average household in the United States is $55,000 a year. So how many years is that? So 55,000 into 4 million is 80 years? Right? If you never spend anything, okay, I don't see how. All right, let's say they make double that, 6 figures. Oh, that's a big deal. Oh, it's 40 years before they can, if they don't spend anything, they don't ever eat, they don't buy any clothes, they don't buy a car, they don't go on vacation. How? Is it possible? The only way it's possible is leverage. You find a way to do something, you create some leverage where you can benefit from scale, from growth. Somebody who writes a book, they don't write a book for every single person who reads the book. They write one book, and then they print as many books as they can sell, and that's how they get leverage. Somebody creates software, they do it one time, and then they sell a license to that software to the entire world. You take a look at an athlete. Well, how does an athlete make all of this money? The reason why they make all this money is because there's so many forms of income tied to that sport, that because they are performing in their particular sport, assuming it's a popular sport, there's attendance, there's merchandise, there's television rights, there's endorsements, there's all these different things. So that's how they get paid all this money. Oh, they just still that one person playing the sport, but they've been able to create leverage. So here's what network marketing does. It creates an opportunity for an average person just like you, somebody who's not an elite athlete, somebody who didn't create software, somebody who didn't go out there and write some best-selling book, somebody who hasn't come up with this magical idea that is just theirs and is proprietary and patented and protected. And yet it gives you an opportunity to create leverage. So you can get a little tiny bit of leverage from making a sale in network marketing. Get a tiny bit. And here's where it comes from. You make the sale. If they order again, you get paid again. If they keep ordering, you can keep getting paid, even if you're not involved in the subsequent sales. Tiny bit of leverage. But now you start building a team, you start recruiting other people. Let's say you can work 10 hours a week. That's all you got, 10 hours a week. Can you find a way to get paid on $1,000 a week? Or 1,000 hours a week? Answer's yes. Even if there's not 1,000 hours available to you, you get 10 people to work 10 hours a week. That's now 100 hours plus your 10. If you get 100 people on your team to work 10 hours a week, that's now 1,000 hours plus your 10. At the beginning, 100% of your effort, or your income is going to come from your effort. Here's what I want in this certification program. That 100% to go down to less than 1% from your effort. 99% plus from the effort of the team that you build. So the gateway to being able to build the team is to be able to recruit, personally recruit. That's the second form of leverage. Third form of leverage is duplication. Being able to teach people to teach. And most professions will not reward you for mentoring somebody into your job. You'll actually get punished for that. You'll lose your job to somebody younger, hungrier, more political in your company, whatever. But here, you can actually give everything you have and mentor other people into your job. And as they learn, and as they grow, and as they benefit, you can also benefit. Maybe smaller percentages, but on a much bigger group of people. Okay, and then leadership also starts to really strengthen the leverage within your organization because you can increase the productivity of all of those participants based upon how good you are at leadership. And then finally, something not talked about too often inside of network marketing, finally, some of you who are smart can take your cash flow that you create from your leveraged income inside of network marketing, and you can find a way to invest it wisely that it can provide a return for you, whether or not you are out there working. You know, what you decide what that looks like. But that's like, you do that. That's how those people got those houses. They got a decent income. They took part of that income. They put it into investments. Those investments took off. I found out that not many of those because I did my research on Ferndale Avenue, not many of those was inherited, just a few. Because I assumed, everybody inherited all this stuff. That's the only way. It wasn't the way. They figured out a problem. They came up with a solution. They got paid. They turned that income into an investment of some sort. That investment became valuable. They were able to live a different life. There's levels to the game. So you want to unlock your true potential inside of network marketing. You got to figure out this recruiting thing. Okay? Really master it. So you can start with customers and you can upgrade. That can happen. Upgrade to distributors. You can start with distributor. Hey, I'm building a business, and then fall back to a customer if they say no to your business. You can start with both and let the prospect decide, hey, we have a product and a business. What appeals to you? Your approach is up to you. And sometimes it's very cultural. Sometimes it's different based upon your product. Sometimes it's different based upon your company. Again, what I would encourage you to do is pay attention to what's working inside your company, and then go with your vibe. There's some very heavily product-based companies, customer-based companies, but there are teams inside of those companies that are very opportunity-based, right? You got to just determine what's working and what fits for you. Like for me, I would have a very difficult time talking about the product and not talking about the opportunity. I feel personally that I'm not being a nice person. If I talk to a prospect and I just tell them about the product and I don't tell them about the opportunity, I'm robbing them of the time that they could have been contemplating a business that could change their life. That's me, okay? But that's not everybody. And I'm not, I hope you hear that I'm not judging you regardless of which path you take. Because you want to hear an interesting statistic? An interesting statistic about our business is some people join for the product, but they stay for the business. And other people join for the business and they stay for the product. And you know what the percentages are with both of those? About 50-50. So like 50% of people from surveys started with the product, stayed for the business. And the other 50% started with the opportunity, they stayed for the product. Huh. So point of entry doesn't really matter that much as long as people are ultimately communicated to and educated that both opportunities exist. Some people bring in customers, never tell them about the opportunity. I think that's a mistake, personally. You're missing out on a leveraged opportunity. So as long as you end up growing teams of distributors, you figure out the strategy is going to work for you. But recruiting is going to create scale and it's going to create leverage. And one thing I want you to file away as we start this conversation is to learn how to change your relationship with no. How to change your relationship with rejection. How to change your relationship with judgment. How to change your relationship with potentially being embarrassed. How to change your relationship with somebody talking about you behind your back. This was hard. And it's hard for some people. They take a little step into recruiting and they went, oh, I just got judged. That felt bad. I don't want to be judged again. So they're very worried about going and talking to the next person. I had a gift, and my gift was I had nothing to lose. You know, everybody's already judging me anyway. I didn't have a lot of success. I didn't have a lot of, career accolades. My resume wasn't amazing. Some of you, you're somebody in your community, and you might have a little bit more that you want to protect. But I learned to change my relationship with no. A no for me, every experience, okay? Here's what I learned over the course of almost 40 years now. There are no good experiences when it comes to recruiting, and there are no bad experiences when it comes to recruiting. There's only learning experiences. See, you might have heard, raise your hand if you've ever heard this idea. You can't beat a person who doesn't quit. Have you ever heard this? Raise your hand if you've ever heard this. That's not true. Just want you to know. That's not true. Do you know anybody in your company that hasn't quit and still hasn't won? Do you know a lot of them? Good soldiers hanging around, still there. Here's the truth. You have to not quit, of course, but then you need to get better every day. Now, if you don't quit and you get better every day, now you're unstoppable. Literally unstoppable. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you learn more from success or more from failure? Failure. So failure is a better teacher, would you agree? Better teacher, you'll learn faster from failure than you will from success, would you agree? Yeah. So why are we afraid of failure? Because of our ego? Failure is only a learning opportunity to be able to get better for the next time you talk to the next person. You realize that there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. Everybody doesn't have to join your business. Some people can just be part of your journey in becoming a professional. And we put all this weight on, oh, I just screwed it up. I did such a terrible job with this person. Fine. What'd you learn? If you learned something so you fixed it for the next time, that person might be, not a prospect anymore because you messed it up. Fine, so what? But now you're twice as good next time you talk to a prospect. You can go back to that first person and say, hey, remember that time I screwed it up with you? Thanks so much. I learned and I got better. It was amazing. I really appreciate it. The biggest rejections I ever got were some of the biggest lessons that I ever got. They taught me, don't do that again. Right? Everybody's talked to some woman at some point in their life and said, when are you expecting? And she said, I'm not pregnant. Has anybody ever done that in your life? What did you learn from that experience? Don't do that. Don't assume anything. That's a bad idea. Right? Or if you're hanging out at your company convention and you say, oh, it's really nice to meet you. And they say, oh, what do you mean? We've met like 14 times. And you didn't remember. You learned, okay, oh, wait. I can't do that anymore. I need to say, nice to see you. To every single person that I see at my company, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. You're amazing. You. So little things, man. Every single interaction, you learn something. Right? Every relationship you've ever been in. There's two types of people. The people who don't learn anything from the relationships that they're in. They just keep repeating the same relationship with different people. It's like people put on the same costume over and over and over and over, and you watch them like, what? Are you figuring any of this out? At some point, you got to learn from your previous experience in relationships in order to be able to have a better one. True? So forget about, all of it's a school. Everything. Every conversation is a school. Every interaction is a school. Every exposure is a school. Every event is a school. Every book you read is a school. Every person on your team and how you interact with that team, they're a school to be able to teach you how to be better for tomorrow. So because you get better every day, you can be a legend in this business. All you got to do is add time. Don't quit. Get better. Add time. Don't quit. Get better. Add time. Don't quit. Relentlessly pay attention to little things you can use to get better. Add time. Become a legend. How can you explain me? 18 jobs. That's not a joke, and that's not a story. 18 jobs. 1.8 GPA in high school. That's not a story. That's for real. 1 trimester of community college before I dropped out. That's not a story. That's real. Every virus you can have in your mind about blaming everybody else in the world, entitlement like crazy, success is out there, it's not in here, all of this stuff. Guess what network marketing did for me? It reprogrammed this thing. I got some people here, people inside of the certification that I've known for a long time. And what they will tell you, there's a piece of Eric, there's a little piece of him that is the piece I remember. And then there's a whole bunch that has developed since I first met him. At least that's my hope. My hope is next year, it's going to get a little better. Year after that, it's going to get a little bit better. So what do you have to do? You've got to learn to discipline your disappointment. in other people and in yourself. You got to forgive yourself. You got to change your relationship with rejection and no. You got to stop treating yourself so seriously about embarrassment. Some of you type A's that have always had everything figured out, you A students, can't handle a C minus, let alone a B. You've got to get comfortable with some B's and C's in your experience until you can become an A student in a new discipline. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's hard for a perfectionist type person. That's hard for somebody that is a people pleaser. That's hard for somebody that really needs the validation of other people. I'm asking you as you go into this recruiting process to get tougher and to realize, in truth, most everybody else in the world doesn't care about you. And you're giving them all of this importance. You're giving them all of this power. You're giving them all of this strength on your decisions. Marina and I do something every once in a while. We'll make a list of the top 100 most important relationships in our life. And we'll put family on one side, and that's just friends and business associates, the top 100. We call our Worry 100. I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Try it one time, just for fun. Who's on your 100? Okay, make a list. Then, every once in a while, go back and look at an old list. People who are in the top 10, not even on the list anymore. Wow. Why? Life changes, they moved, circumstance changes, you don't see them much anymore, they got divorced, they got married to somebody else, they got a different job, they moved on to a different company, whatever, something. I look back at a 10-year-old list, and there was 18 people that are on my new list from my 10-year-old list. Isn't that wild? So, why was I giving so much power to the other 82 when they were just a tourist in my life? They weren't a permanent resident in my life. They were a tourist. They're coming through. So, a little grit, a little toughness, a little realizing this is your life, a little take charge in order to be able to do this, and also a little understanding that if you want to grow a business, you need to recruit a team. Okay? You need to be thinking about how you're going to do that. Okay? So that's an introduction, and I hope you hear me for what I needed to say in this setup of recruiting, and we will get more into it in section 2. I went way farther than I expected to go in that introduction, but hopefully it was all right for you. Such an important thing, man. Big deal. One thing I didn't add here, but I will add just to you, is weed out your life. You think of your life as a garden. There's weeds in it. You know who the weeds are. Weed your life out. There are some people that you're spending time with that are not serving your purpose. Some people that you're spending too much time with that you need to spend less time with because they're dangerous in your life. How many movies you need to see where you know the hero is going to end up in jail or dead if they stay with that friend? They're just going to. You're like, well, it's obvious. If somebody started filming your life, who would the obvious people be that you're spending too much time with? What would the world say? And for some of you, you're going to need disassociation. Disconnection is very emotionally traumatizing. You're going to be related to some of these people, right? My suggestion to you is just be so busy with your new life that you just don't have as much time. Doesn't need to be about rejection, but it does need to be about protection. You know, protecting you from people who are influencing you in a negative way. So I want you to think about that. Okay? Those are not easy decisions, but if you don't make them, I can predict your future. Right? If you do make them, I can predict a different future. I'd rather you be alone and have your mentors be books, audio programs, video programs, training programs, people that you know in your company, than have tons and tons and tons of friends that are all pushing you into a life that is 2% of what you deserve. Because if you're alone for a season, I was alone. I decided to be alone for a season. And my best friends were Jim Rohn, Les Brown, and Og Mandino. They never met me. They didn't know who I was, but they were my best friends. And they were in audio programs in my car, and I listened to them every day, and I pretended I was driving around in my car, and they were sitting in the back seat just coaching me. You know, encouraging me, telling me that it was going to be okay. I'm going to, your life is going to be fine. And I said no. I said no to going to the movies. I said no to going to the beach. I said no to going to the club with my friends. I said no to dates that didn't make sense. I said no to people that were fun. You know, sometimes really negative people are fun in small doses. You know what I mean? Because they're kind of a freak show. But it's interesting, you know? If you bring a freak show to Vegas, you're going to have a fun couple days. For real. I mean, they're not, boring people, but they're dangerous. You don't want to end up on Fremont Street at 3 a.m. by yourself. You don't want that to happen. So, and you might have heard me tell the story before, but 6 years, I pruned out my life, man. It was family, and it was virtual mentors. Books and audio mostly for me, occasional event. And a few people, I found out even in network marketing, I had to be careful who I hung out with in my company, because some of those were caustic and negative people. I needed to prune because I started saying, oh, if they're in network marketing, they must be okay. They must be a good person to be around for me. If they're making more money than me, that must be okay. No. There's some people making more money than you in your company right now that you can't afford to spend 15 minutes with, 15 seconds with. You need to just politely decline. You don't need to be in that room. Right? So anyway, 6 years later, I'm in my car. And when I was driving around before, I was driving an AMC Spirit. Look that car up. If you want to see POS, that's what that car was. Terrible car. Had a gas leak. I get a headache every time driving that stupid car. I wish I had the money and I didn't have to sell it, because I wish I could have kept it, put it in a museum, or just taken a shotgun and blown 20 holes in it just for the satisfaction. But now I'm in a Mercedes 6 years later, S-Class in Dallas, Texas, and I'm driving, and in the back seat of my car, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, and Og Mandino in real life. They're actually in my car. And I'm like, what happened? How is this even real? They don't even know that I brought them here. I attracted them here. They don't know that I've listened to them more than they've listened to themselves. I could give every one of their seminars. I know that everything, and I'm just grinning, driving them, listening to them talk about life and ideas, and like, oh my God. So they became friends. Jim Rohn became my friend. Og Mandino became my friend. He did his last talk before he passed away. For us, and he signed autographs for 7 hours afterwards. What a legend. Amazing. Les Brown, still. When we do our book launch, guess who's coming? On June 6th, when we do the book launch, Mr. Les Brown is going to be here, be part of it. Living legend. Amazing guy. So many. I attracted a new group. And you can do the same. Yeah, attract a new group. And in the pruning, it feels uncomfortable for a while, a season. But I'd rather you feel that discomfort than feel comfortable and lose the next 10 years. Because guess how easy it is to lose 10 years? Think about the last 10. How long ago was it? 2016. Centuries, but then 5 minutes. Go on your social media, look back on the little time machine back 10 years ago. And you realize, that was fast. Right? So, anyway. Fun stuff. Let's get into it. Section two. Here we go. Oh, that was welcome, so this is officially section 1. Ready? 5, 4, 3. Okay, now what I want to talk to you about is some foundational principles that apply to every aspect of this certification. Now that we've had a little bit of an introduction, now that we've got ourselves a little bit solid, I want to talk about things that are going to matter for you. And if you're struggling with recruiting, I want you to come back to these 8 things over and over and over again. And that starts with personal development. Personal development. Your personal development is vital because you are the secret sauce. When it comes to recruiting, it's not about your compensation plan. It's not about your product. It's not about the price of your product. It's not about any of those things. It's about you. So the more you develop you, and the more you encourage development inside your team, one of the things that I love about network marketing is it encourages the development of people. And it starts with you. But in addition to encouraging your development, what I want you to think about is, can I infuse personal growth into the culture of my team, where everybody is constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly sharing ideas, constantly bringing up good thoughts, constantly, oh, I listened to this podcast. Let me tell you what I learned. I read this book. Let me tell you what I learned. I went through this certification. Let me tell you what I learned. See what I mean? So the personal development, not only for yourself, don't just keep it for yourself. Encourage it in others. And at the beginning, let me tell you what encouraged it for me. I was struggling. Somebody gave me an audio, back then an audio cassette, with Jim Rohn doing a live presentation at some big convention. And it was about a 45-minute talk. And I listened to that 45-minute talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. He said, for things to change, you've got to change. And for things to get better, you've got to get better. And that made sense to me. And guess what? The next day, I was talking with a prospect, and the prospect says, I'm not sure. I got to think about it. He said, let me tell you what my mentor told me yesterday. For things to change, you got to change. And for things to get better, you got to get better. And the prospect said, you know what? You're right. Let's sign up. Let's get it. Let's do this thing. And I went, what? I can turn this personal development into money that fast? Like, I need more of this personal development. So I listened to that, a million times. And I started to collect little ideas. I started to improve. I started to grow. And I started to encourage my team. Remember, they used to have, some of you will remember this, some of you won't. They used to have these little things where you could put 2 cassettes, a blank one and one that had a recording on it, and you could transfer what was on one to another. And on my desk all day long, I was transferring that talk to another so I could give it to somebody on my team. Why? Because I wanted my team to experience the same thing that I experienced. So when you're involved in personal development, always be recommending books, always be recommending resources, always be recommending things like certification, always be recommending learning, growing, expanding on every aspect of your life. Because the more you become strong, the more you're going to be able to build a strong business. So personal development. Number 2, you need to have a business owner mindset. This is not about being a distributor. You need to be a business owner. You need to be thinking like a business owner, thinking like a business architect, thinking like a problem solver in that form or fashion, that you have all these resources available to you, but you're the owner. You're not some employee of your upline. You're the owner. Your upline is a resource. You're not trying to find somebody to do something because you don't want to do it necessarily. They're just going to be another resource. People on your team are going to be resources. Company assets are going to be resources. Business owner mindset, number 2. Number 3, learning how to be a networker, not just a network marketer. Constantly expanding your network is going to help you recruit. You need to have abundance when it comes to in your mindset. An abundance mindset that says you have unlimited people to talk to. This is a skill. Learning how to find people to talk to about your business is a skill. If you talk to the top earners in network marketing, here's what they'll tell you. A tiny fraction of the people that they've recruited, they knew the day that they joined. And most of them they met after. Why? They're networkers. They network, they meet people, they talk to people, they connect with people when they don't feel like it. It's part of for me, it started as part of my job. I needed to meet more people because I was kind of introvert, I had a close little group of friends and that was it. It started as part of my job and it became part of my identity to make connections, to be reaching out to people. And occasionally, because I'm introverted by nature, I have to remind myself to not just stay in myself when I'm out, not to just stay in myself. I have to realize this is part of being a citizen of the world, and bringing value and contributing to others is connecting with others, building relationship with others. So your network is important. Our job, ultimately, when it comes to recruiting, is to educate people about our opportunity to the point that they understand what we have. We're more teachers and consultants than we are salespeople and recruiters. Say that again. We're more teachers and consultants than we are salespeople and recruiters. I want you to think of yourself. My job is to educate. My job is to help people understand. That's my job. I can't do that if I don't get into conversation with them. But once I do get into conversation with them, I have a goal ultimately, when it's appropriate, for them to become educated on what I have, because I have a gift that I would like to give them. They might not realize it's a gift right now. I know it's a gift. When the time is right, I'm going to make sure that they become educated. And if I bring enough value and I've networked with them properly and I've been a good friend, good citizen, good colleague, whatever, they'll be open to listening to what I have. And I don't need to be emotionally attached to the results. Here's one little side note with all this. It's very, very valuable to be emotionally detached from the results. Be emotionally attached to education and understanding, but not emotionally attached to the results. Whatever they decide to do, that's up to them. Okay? Not everybody's going to be a prospect, at least not this moment. That's fine. People got to do all these other jobs, and not everybody can be on your team. A lot of stuff that needs to happen in the world. It's fine. No problem. So be attached to education and understanding. Next is radical simplicity. When it comes to selling, simplicity is a little easier task. When it comes to recruiting, there's a few more moving parts. It's not quite as easy to keep things super simple in a changing world, but you have to fight for simplicity. Simplicity is worth fighting for, even if you have to re-architect, re-engineer what it is that you're offering to the world every once in a while in order to be able to adapt to market conditions, adapt to what's happening, adapt to technology, adapt to innovation, adapt to where your company's going, whatever. You might need to adapt, but radical simplicity, it's easy to add. It's hard to subtract. So have a discipline. Every time you add something to whatever your process is for recruiting, make sure that you're subtracting something. Have you ever gone through this exercise in school where they would have you write a 300-word essay? And then when they're done, they say, okay, now rewrite it in 150 words. Now rewrite it in 75 words. Now rewrite it in 30 words. Now rewrite it in 15 words. Ugh. Can you rewrite it in less than 10 words? That is the mentality of what you need to use when you're approaching how you're recruiting and how you're teaching other people how to recruit. Less words, less words, less words, less steps, less fear, less complication, right? So, and if you ever want to see an interesting thing, go turn on your television and look at the description of any movie. And it will tell you in 2 sentences what that movie is. Somebody went through that exercise. Some of them are 4 or 5 words. Some of them are, 10 words. Sometimes they have to put the actor in there in order to be able to attract attention. Christian Bale does such and such, leads this cast on this particular thing. A trailer, if somebody has time to watch a trailer, it's what, 60 seconds? Maybe 2 minutes? That's a trailer for the whole commercial to come watch this movie. But then you see the description. You got to be thinking about the same thing. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Show me somebody who reduces it down where it's simple and it's working, and I'll show you a legend. I'll show you a future superstar. Show me somebody who's got everybody in their team's doing something different. It's all over the place. It's, you got getting started manuals that are 48 pages long. And I'll show you somebody who's stuck in the mud. It's hard when you're dealing with brand new people, right? You have to have systems, and I'll add this to kind of a pro tip, okay? This is what I learned how to do in teaching you. You got to be able to have something that works for a brand new person who just signed up today that they can use to get some sort of results. You got to have something that works and brings value for a part-time person who's past their getting started process, but they need to be able to move forward. You have to have something that works for a full-time person where they're going to be repeating what the part-time and brand new people are doing in order to be able to have results. And you have to have something that works for the superstar top leader, right? And more of that is just repeating these building blocks down the road. Guess what we tend to do? Instead of basic building block, we need to just keep repeating the building block. We repeat the building block much, much more. We repeat it like crazy. Guess what we tend to do? Simple, complicated, super complicated, very, very crazy complicated. That's what we tend to do. That's the natural tendency in our business. And it makes us feel good because we can handle the complicated stuff because we're such a strong person. But it crushes the duplication in the organization. So radical simplicity. And the final 3, which we're going to cover in different modules of this course are all businesses conversation, third-party resources are your best friend, and the fortune is in the follow-up. How do you follow up effectively? So these 8 foundational success principles: personal development, business owner mindset, the importance of your network, education and understanding, radical simplicity, conversation, third party, and follow-up. Okay, you got it? Yes? Give me a thumbs up. All right, fantastic. That's it for this module. We'll be back with the next. Okay, any questions we have so far in these first 2? Pretty basic stuff. We got deep on anything, but we got a question in the back. Somebody have a mic for me?
Good morning.
Hi.
So actually this question was working since yesterday in my mind.
Okay.
Because you were talking about retention. And I think you have a pretty good overview about industry numbers in retention. And I was just wondering, of course you said most people have no clue about retention. And for me, for myself, I checked the numbers. And we have about 74% of the customers in month number 7.
Wow.
About 50% after 12 months, and about 18% we call customers for life. So I have customers, they ordered products since 10 years.
What's your company?
Ecology, Norwegian company.
Sure.
So my question is, if you compare that with industry numbers, or with your experience, what is a good retention in our industry?
Here's what I would say. That's very high. That's very high. You got to figure out what your lifetime value is on a customer. I would also say there's probably a little more to the story with the numbers that you put out. There's probably some sort of cleaning that happens with some of the data at some point. You're like with some organizations, well, we have this retention, it's 18 months if somebody takes the test at the beginning and they take another test after 4 months, or if once a person's in for 30 or more days, or if a person signs up for an auto ship, then they turn into this number. But so make sure it's all the data, because companies are notorious for cleaning it up to make it look better than it is. Okay? Make sure you look at all the data. Those numbers are excellent. Excellent numbers. Typically on typical product auto ship numbers, it's like people that get to their 3rd order, there's a massive drop-off by the 3rd order. Maybe 2.8 orders per customer, something like that. Globally. And that's not a scientific number. That's just kind of anecdotal based upon working with lots of different organizations. And no company's ever going to tell you what their real number is. They're not going to, because there's no upside for them to tell it. It's our job to increase how many dollars are going to come through that customer over the course of their life, and then increase that average through your entire organization.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with retention.
Love it.
So I'm working every day on strategies just to keep the retention high.
And when we go through the retention mastery, I'll give you a ton of ideas that will improve that dramatically, for sure.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Yeah, retention is a tricky thing. And like I say, company data is a kind of a tricky thing. You got to figure out what your data is, and that's kind of what you can control. We got one more question back here.
Mr. Orrig, quick question. Thank you for this material. I'm just curious, personally, yourself right now in this development, what are you reading? Who's coaching you? What are you listening to? How many books are you reading a year? Those kind of things.
I read, since I joined network marketing, probably average It's a little bit less because in the last couple of years, it's a little bit less. But I've probably averaged a book a week for my life over the last 40 years or so. A book a week, something like that. Less in the last probably 5 years. And I'll tell you why. I heard somebody say, produce more content than you consume. On social media, produce more content than you consume. When it comes to, so I'm trying to write more content than I read. I'm trying to put more content into the world than I am listening to. I have an ocean of information. I have encyclopedic knowledge of network marketing. There's not one question that can stump me, but I have to figure out a way to package it and offer it up to the world in a way that makes sense for me. But that's at age 62, right? Early, when I started, the only reason why I started reading, because I viewed reading as a punishment. Like in school, we need to read, this book or whatever, and do a book report. Oh, hated it. So Jim Rohn said, leaders are readers. Okay, fine. He recommended a couple books. Okay, fine. He said, start with 10 pages a day. Okay, I can do that. But I would fall asleep after 10 pages. I mean, have to start over. You ever have your reading so weak that you have to start over a page 6 times? What did they say again? What did they say again? So for me, it started there, 10 pages of a day. And that for me, I found that it needed to be a combination of fiction and nonfiction. My favorite was philosophical fiction books. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, The Alchemist, Atlas Shrugged, Fountainhead, those types of books that would tell a story. The Wealthy Barber, The Richest Man in Babylon, those types of books were very helpful for me because you got to entertain me a little bit. Otherwise, you can only read so much 3 steps to this and 5 habits of that and 7 ways to do this. Once you've read a book a week for a while, you realize in that first chapter or so, you got it. You're just yeah. And then they're going to take the next 300 pages talking about that first chapter and say it 500 different ways. Okay, fine. And I'm not cynical about it because I learned from $20, you get one idea, you're a winner. You win. Find one idea that can apply to your life, you win. What I learned to do a little bit later is consume less and study more. What I mean by that is just don't go to the next book. You might need to read that same book 15 times. You might need to find something that really works for you, 20 times, over and over and over again. I'm fanatical. I've become fanatical about biographies. I'm a wildly enthusiastic student of Jeff Bezos. He's one of my coaches today. He doesn't know it, but he's one of my coaches. And he's coaching me for free. It's the best. Unbelievable. It's awesome. I can't really learn I can be inspired by Elon Musk, but I can't learn a lot from him because I don't relate to how he can think. It's just so next level for me. But Bezos, it makes sense for me. Like how he structures growth, how he thinks about things, how he I heard a quote from him this morning. He talked about he had a guy that had worked for him for 25 years, but he'd only worked for him for 1 year. And the guy was a very top executive. And here's what he told him. Here's the lesson Jeff Bezos gave me this morning. He said, the guy pulled him aside and said, Jeff, you have so many ideas. You have enough ideas to kill Amazon. And if you keep going at this rate, you will kill Amazon. I'm not saying your ideas are bad, but the pace that you're introducing them is stacking up this queue of ideas, and it's adding stress and distraction to the organization. So you need to learn to pace when you introduce the ideas, how you prioritize the ideas, what's more important, what's less important on those ideas, in order to be able to have the organization be able to eventually do multiple things at the same time, right? So I've listened to everything he's ever said. I've read everything there is to read about him, every one of his annual reports. Anytime he does an interview, I'm in. He does very rarely, but he's been an incredible student for me. There's another podcast that I listened to 2 weeks ago, rocked my world. A lot of my internal stuff is podcasts lately, if I find good ones. Patrick Bet-David, the PBD podcast, he interviewed the founder of Ritz-Carlton, 87-year-old guy. That couple hours is some of the most valuable hours of how to bring radical, personalized customer service to your team, how to serve a team, how to build a team, how to recruit a team, how to train a team, how to develop a leadership mindset, how to solve problems. I mean, it is so epic. I listened to it probably, it's 2-3 hours long. I probably listened to it 5 times, maybe, something like that. So Patrick Bet-David, Ritz-Carlton, you'll find it. It's epic. This guy's 87. He's just a beast. He's a beast, this guy, what he created. Unbelievable. Awesome. So for me, Tony Robbins is the coach. I mean, I have my real coaches, and then I have virtual coaches. And guess what's more valuable? What do you think? A coach moving into your house and being your friend, or a virtual coach? What do you think is more?
The back seat.
Virtual. Yeah, man. Virtual wins every time. Virtual wins. Because I tell this story. If Jim Rohn was a family friend, and my parents said, hey, Eric's been going through 18 jobs. He needs somebody to come help him. Would you come over to the house and give him a little couple, 2-3 hours in the living room? He'll take notes, I promise. And Jim Rohn came over, and I sat there and I took notes, right? Could they ask him to come back the next day and do it again? No, he did it. Could he come back the next week? No. Could you ask him to ever do that seminar again? No. Could you guys ask me to do this for you, what I'm doing today, again? No. But guess what? You can do it. You can have access to it 1,000 times. So if this ends up being 4 hours, 4.5 hours, you can have 4.5 hours sitting in my living room, or you can have 4,500 hours by going through it 100 times. So you get access to me for 4,500 hours if you want it. So that's where the benefit, I think, is in that repetition and being able to access the minds of giants. I mean, the people who are just absolute. I love finding out what makes those types of people think and tick. And when I find one, I dig. But then I'll go find, some fiction book. Like there's anybody see the movie The Martian? Well, he wrote another book, and the other book is called Hail Mary, and it's coming out as a movie, and the book is just freaking just awesome. But guess what fiction books did for me? It might feel like it's nothing. It helps me understand people. It helps me understand different points of view. It helps me understand different characters. It helps me understand life, this thing that we're trying to figure out. So not only is it entertaining, like I'm a big Stephen King fan. I'm not a fan of his politics, but I'm a fan of his writing. I've read everything he's ever written. I have the Holy Grail. He has one book that's the Holy Grail of collectible books. I'll tell you this story. It's a book called Salem's Lot. And and they had made a mistake on an early run. And so there's typos on it and stuff. And there's only 3 in existence in the world, and I have one of them. $120,000 for this one hardcover book. But it's my little treasure, just for fun. Anyway, I learned a lot about human nature from that. Podcasts are amazing for me. To be honest, the reason why I respect you being in this room, I struggle sitting in a room. I mean, it better be very literal, because I don't care who it is. If it's Tony Robbins, I can only jump up and down so many times. I'm just like, come on. It's just like, I got to go do something. It drives me a little bit bananas. So I can handle it in different things, or when I'm working out or whatever. Like if I was on a treadmill, I need to be in a treadmill in an event like this and walking on a treadmill to feel like I was multitasking while I was learning even this. Okay, so respect to all of you for being attentive and taking notes and doing all that stuff. Okay, all right, everybody, do me a favor. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Just do a little bit of movement, do a little bit of stretch, and just jump up and down 10 times. Come on, that's not a jump. That's not a jump. Get off the ground. There's got to be like air under the feet. It can't be this. Okay, have a seat and we'll continue. That's funny. Okay, ready for next section? This one's going to be a little bit longer, but well, maybe it won't. We'll see. Here we go. 5, 4. All right. So welcome back. And in recruiting mastery, what do we have to have in order to be able to recruit somebody? We have to find them. Who are they? Are they a candidate? Can we build a connection? Can we make a connection? Can we start a conversation? So this seems obvious, especially today, because we're so connected. When you look at your phone, you're connected, social media, you're connected, some more than others. But if you're connected to people, that's one thing. When I first got involved, I was stressed out. Like, I don't think I know very many people. I don't think I know the right people. I don't think I know people who have money. I don't think I know people who will listen to me. I don't think I know people who could be successful. I don't think I know people who are entrepreneurial. So as soon as I started asking these different questions, when I was making my little list of people to reach out to, I was like, well, not that one, not that one, not that one, right? So it stressed me out. And my experience was I make my list and I charge out there with very low knowledge and very low skill and very low confidence. And I would talk to the best people on my list. And that's not a good formula. So they say no, and I'd start draining the people on my list. I made this list, and I just start, I drain that one. I drain that. I'd say, they said they're too busy. Okay, boom. They don't have the money. Boom. They don't have the time. Boom. This is not their thing. Boom. They're not a salesperson. Boom. And I don't know about you, but every time I crossed one off, my anxiety went up because I felt like that was my only chance. I heard somebody say in a training that out of every 100 oysters, there's 3 pearls. Well, I'm like, my pearls have got to be in the bottom because I'm going through these fast and I'm getting a lot of no's. That's normal. I'm getting some maybes. I'm getting some, I'll think about it, but I'm just going down, 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 down. So the first thing I want to do is help you identify how many people you actually have to start with. Some people think network marketing is about, oh, you got to go harass all of your friends and family, right? And some people do. I'm going to show you how to not harass your close friends and family, right? But it's very, very important that you identify the existing network that you have, then grow it, then strengthen it, and then ultimately figure out how to leverage it in service to others. Okay, I'll say that again. You want to identify, you want to grow, you want to strengthen, and then you want to leverage in service to others. Not just leverage for yourself. So we ask this question, who do you know? Who do you know? And I always start with the big three. Number one is your phone. Here's what I would like you to do right now. Take your phone, and I would like you to go to contacts, where they show the alphabetical contacts. And I would like you to scroll to the bottom of contacts and tell me how many you have. Wherever you are, scroll to the bottom. How many do you have? 1,931. 2,147. How much? 2,718. 16,249. 8,300. 4,389. 5,600. Who has less than 200? Anybody? A few? No shame in that. You're just selective about who you're going to have in your phone. You know, I respect. 923. Who has less than 100? Anybody have less than 100? So, all right, who has more than 200? Raise your hands. More than 300, keep your hands up. More than 400, keep your hands up. 500, keep your hands up. 600, keep your hands up. 700, keep your hands up. 800, keep your hands up. 900, keep your hands up. 1,000, keep your hands up. 1,100, keep your hands up. So could we fairly estimate that it's about 1,000? If we average just this room, let's just say it is. And if it's not, is that something you could grow if you wanted to? All of you could add more. That's not everybody you know, for sure. You know more than what's in your phone, I promise. Okay? Now, I want you to think about email. How many people are in your email that maybe aren't in your phone? And you don't need to track that right this second, but just think about that. That's a way for you to go kind of search. You're going to get a lot more business-oriented associates, people you worked with in the past, those types of things, vendors, people you do business with will be in there, in addition to the people that you know. It's a little more formal. Okay? Now take social media. Pull up Facebook. Everybody pull up Facebook. Tell me how many friends you have. How many? 25,000 friends? You can't have 25,000 friends. They max at 5,000. It's a page or something? Or you have multiple accounts? It's like a page. Okay, 25,000. 3,500. Just keep your personal page. Start there. 3,500. Who else? 4,000. 3,700. 3,700. 1,600. 2,600. All right, so you're seeing another number, right? You're going to add the 1,000, and let's say the average person I've heard on Facebook has somewhere in the 600 range around the world. I'm sure you as networkers probably a bigger number. But let's say it's 600. So now we have 1,600. Those of you who have Instagram accounts, go to Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, how many people are you connected with on Instagram? How much? 2,043? Followers, yeah, followers. 3,021. 33,000? 23,000? 200? 51. 51,000. Excellent. Who has less than 10,000? You know? So, but it's a number, yes? These people follow you for a reason, yes? You might not know them all. You might not have them in your phone. I will bet you most of those followers are not in your phone. Would you agree? But you're connected for some reason. And because you're connected, do you have the ability to start a conversation? Yes or no? So we can go on LinkedIn, we can go on Snapchat, we can go on all the different social media platforms around the world, and we can identify other people that are connected to us, relate to us, follow us, friends with us, right? So this is a starting point to be able to go, let's assume if we added it all up, every single potential contact point, it was 1,000. Do you think that's fair? If we took the average person, do you think they'd have 1,000 between their phone, email, social, in any form? Average. Some will have less, some will have more. Do you think 1,000 is a fair number? Yeah? Anybody think it's unfair? Think it's too high? Okay. Let's just assume not everybody's going to fit that, but they have 1,000. That's 1,000 conversations that you can have. Right? 1,000 conversations. So what I would tell you as you're considering who might be a candidate for my business is to don't make a decision for another person. Write that in your notes. Don't make a decision for another person. Don't decide this isn't for them. Don't decide that they wouldn't be interested. Don't make the decision that they don't have the money, or they have too much money, or they're too busy, or they got too much stuff going on. You never know what's in the heart of another person. You just don't. One of the very interesting experiences that I had was I had some cousins. Now, mind you, I was trying to go through every single aspect of my list. I had some cousins that were evangelists. They were traveling evangelists. They had a little band, and they would go travel around, and they would preach. And part of their message was they were anti-rock and roll. Rock and roll was destroying culture and all this stuff. And I kind of liked rock and roll, but they were doing their anti-rock and roll thing, and it was kind of popular. They were on the news, and they were doing all this different kind of stuff. But they'd play their music, and they'd sing their songs, and they'd talk about how rock and roll is destroying youth. And then they would, have the message, and then they'd go on to the next little city. My cousins. Okay? I never even contemplated contacting them. They're traveling. They are busy. They're focused on their mission. They're focused on what it is that they're doing, right? Never even contemplated it. Well, guess what? I didn't know that they were tired of traveling. I didn't know that they were looking for something else. I didn't know that they would like to make some money in order to use that money to service for their mission work around the world. I didn't know any of that stuff. They joined a network marketing company. Not mine. Not with me. Then their family, guess how much their family has made to date? Over $50 million. $50 million. You combined everybody in the family, $50 million. They've used it to fund mission operations all over the world, Africa, you name it, every place in the world. They've used it for their overall mission, and also for their lives, also for their lifestyle. Never even put them on my list because I said I made the decision for them. They wouldn't be interested. I would save you that pain. It's even worse if they join your company with somebody else. Oh, watch them walk across the stage at the convention and you could have talked to them and you didn't. Oh. So don't prejudge anybody. So, all right, we're going to start with this list, right? That's the identification. Now we're going to expand. We're going to expand the list. Think of your friends of friends. If you know 1,000 people and they know 1,000 people, how many people do you have access to just from your friends? Can somebody do the math? What's 1,000 times 1,000? It's 1,000,000. So just your 1,000 can introduce you to their 1,000. That's 1,000,000 people that you can talk to about your business. 1,000,000 conversations that you can start. 1,000,000 that you can educate. And you're wondering if you know enough people. You have access to the world. It's right here. It starts with the people you know, but then it quickly grows to something much more powerful. Remember, some people are a destination on your list. Some people are a doorway. They're going to lead you to their list, whether they join or not. Can you go on a social media platform and find out the friends of your friends? Is that doable? If you do that, can you introduce yourself to those people? I see we're both friends with so-and-so, so I just wanted to say hello. Friend of theirs is a friend of mine. Hope you're having a nice day. And shoot them a friend request, and now they're in your little orbit. Not hard. This is the work, right? So then in expanding your list, right, friends of friends are the biggest one by far. That's second degree. First degree is the people you know. Second degree is the people they know. Then who are the people you do business with? Start thinking about because it might not be on your list in one of these forms. Who are former associates, people you used to hang out with? Who are people in different professions? Think about accountants and bakers and chiropractors and dentists, electricians, florists, right? Gardeners. Go through the alphabet and think about who you know in the different professions. Who are people who live in a different state? Who are the people who live in a different region? Who are the people who live in a different country? Who are the people who live in a different city or a different part of the world? Who speaks a different language? Start making a list that way. So can you start to see how the list gets being thickened up? If you're going to architect a game plan, right? I want you to keep thinking about this word architect. You're going to architect a plan to be able to go educate as many people as possible to recruit people who find value in your opportunity. And then you need to architect a plan to show the people on your team that they have unlimited people as well. So they can architect it as well. You might need to give them the plan so they can go do it. Takes some work to be able to figure this out. And some people say, well, where should I put my list? Should I have a CRM? Should I have a Excel spreadsheet? Look, I'm old school. I put it in a legal pad or a journal and I redo the list often. When I was building, I'd make a list. Every time there was company convention, I'd make a new list. Do it again. Blast through that list. Go back again. If I reached out to somebody twice, no problem. Put little notes. I didn't have a sophisticated system. Some of you have sophisticated systems. Great, wonderful. Good for you. Go get it. Do you need to have it? Not really. I mean, most of it's already in the apps and in the phone. And you kind of know what's happening. If you go into your text threads, If it's bold, that means you owe them a response. If it's not, that means they owe you a response. Pretty simple. Same thing in your DMs. If it's bold, you owe them a response. If it's not, they owe you a response. It's right. Just scroll through. But if you do this right, you're going to have more people to contact than you have time anyway. So don't stress too much about it. But let me give you a good discipline to continue to grow your network. Add 2 a day. Every day, add 2. Find 2 people in the world that you meet, connect with. One of my mentors, Harvey McKay, his father told him, age 19, every person you meet, get their contact information, find a way to stay in touch, bring value to their life, and don't keep score. That's how to live a rich life. Now, if you meet somebody today, you're traveling today, some person who's cleaning your room, it's a little weird to get their contact information. It's not weird to say, are you on Instagram? Are you on some social media platform? Hey, can I give you a follow? Because I'd like to compliment you about the service that you just gave, and I'd like to tag you in that compliment because I'd like the people in your world to see that you're doing a tremendous job. Not hard. Pretty easy. If this is your job, you do this a little differently, right? Every person you meet, find a creative way to stay in touch. Now, I want you, once you go through this, well, before you go through this, I want to show you one thing. I want to draw something out for you. When I first got involved, I didn't know a lot of people. At least I felt like I didn't. I certainly didn't have 1,000. It was hard for me to make a list of 100. Age 23 was not easy to do. Even borrowing my parents' contacts, it was not the easiest thing to do. So I was stressing out about finding people. And I was asking around, and I finally found myself in this training, and the trainer said, let me show you how to have unlimited prospects. And I'm like, oh, I've been waiting for this because I feel like I've talked to everybody. Everybody said yes, no, or not interested. So here's what he said. Move heaven and earth to find one. Whatever you've got to do, move heaven and earth to find one. Can you do that? Whatever you got to do. If you got to go walk around the mall, if you got to go knock on doors, if you've got to go to some trade fair, if you've got to go whatever you got to do, go find one. I did crazy stuff back then. I used to go to trade shows not to see any of the people attending the trade show, to talk to all the people who ran the booths. How's your business? You're looking to do anything in addition to this, or is this enough? And guess which booths I talk to the most? The emptiest ones. Is the trade show living up to your expectation? You're looking to diversify? You're looking for something else? I'm looking for somebody sharp. The fact that you're here tells me you're sharp. I did everything. I walked into car dealers and say, I can only talk to the number one salesperson in this building. I'm only allowed to talk to number one. Who's number one? They say, oh, number one's over there. I go to number one. I hear you're number one. He said, yeah, I am. So congratulations. The fact you're number one here tells me you could be successful doing a lot of different things. Is this the last thing you're ever going to do? Are you just going to do this for the rest of your life? Or are you open to potentially making more with your skills? Oh, I'm open to taking more. All right, well, I can't talk about it now. It wouldn't be appropriate. Why don't we have some lunch? I'm doing this at 25, just walking in, acting like I'm somebody I'm not, wearing the one suit that I have, and get, whatever I got to do to get the one. Anything. Refer me, find me, walking around, holding up signs, please, are you the one? Are you the one? I would do anything. And then he said, that person, now in today's world, that person knows 1,000 people. Right? Ask that person to introduce you. You have knowledge, skill, ability. Ask them to introduce you to their people. They provide the people, you provide the presentation. Hypothetically, if you could go through all 1,000 of those people where they said hello and just did a 3-way introduction to me, and they literally did nothing else. All they said is, hey, my friend Eric has an opportunity. He thought you might be interested. Good luck. You guys can figure it out, and then maybe there's something to do. I literally didn't ask anything else of them. Introduce me to that world. Now I can go be the strongest, most powerful version of myself talking to their people. Not mine, that they don't know my life. They don't know my 18 jobs. They don't know my 1.8 GPA in high school. They don't know all of my failures. I could just go be as strong as I could possibly be talking to their 1,000 people. Now, if I talk to 1,000 people and I book some appointments, over time, how many of those people do you think I could potentially recruit? If this person, all they did was set up a 3-way chat with me. That's all they did. A 3-way chat, walked away. Okay? I asked them to do that with every single person in their list. How many people can I sign up out of those 1,000? What would you guess? At age 25. Okay? Some people saying 100, some people saying 50. Let's pick a small number. Let's say it's 10 people. Do you think I can get 10 out of 1,000? 10 are going to be, I promise you, 10 of them are going to be saying, God, send me a sign. If there's an opportunity out there for me, I want my phone to buzz with some 3-way text with somebody, please God, I'm waiting for an answer to prayer. Bing. 10 of them. For sure. Let's say I get introduced to 100, but I'm so, I go through this whole process, but I'm so weak that I can only get 10 people to join. Okay, great. I get 10 people to join. How many people do they know each? 1,000. So that's now 10,000. I tell those 10 to introduce me. All I need you to do is set up a 3-way chat. Do nothing else. I'll take care of everything else. I have the time. I have the energy. I have the experience. I have the knowledge. You have the contacts. Make the connection. I'll take care of everything else. Because right then, do you think this person might go to work if I sign 10? They might. Because those 10 are going to go in their team. They might. And let's just say we do the same number here. Now I sign 100. I got 100 people out of 10,000. How pitiful numbers is that? Awful, pitiful, terrible. You guys talk to 10 and get 1 and think it's terrible. But if you talk to 100 and get 10, I've had to talk to 1,000 to get 10. Right? So now 100 people come in, join. Do you think that makes this person a little bit more excited? Do you think it takes these people and gets them a little bit excited? Can I create some little bit of competition with those people? Can they do a little bit more than just an introduction? Can they join me for breakfast? Can they join me for coffee? Can they join me on a Zoom when I start doing the next one? How many do these 100 people know? 100,000. And it's still just me. And now maybe this one's helping a little bit, and maybe there's a couple of these helping a little bit, and maybe a few of these are helping a little bit, but now I've got 100,000 people to talk to. So if you ever get freaked out, I don't know anybody, just know, move heaven and earth to get one. Use them as a doorway, not a destination. Don't expect them to do everything. You take care of everything. You take charge. Have them just make an introduction. And if they just make an introduction, you take it from there, you treat it classy, you treat their contacts classy, and off you go, right? So once I understood that, I was like, oh, okay. I can reach the whole world with one. I have 100 I can go find. Now I can reach the world. Like, this is now a solved problem. I don't have to who of my best friends would be good at this? I don't need that conversation. What I need now is, can I get somebody who's willing, coachable, and hungry? One. And I can reach the whole world. Do you understand? Got me? So if you want to prejudge, you can. I'm going to give you some prejudging things that once you make your candidate list, and if you can move that over a little bit, the note, can you move it to the side? Because part of it's behind the cameras. It would be great. It'd be awesome. The other way. Other way. A little farther. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So, if you want to prejudge, I will tell you how I prejudged. Once I made my list, do you want to start with easy or hard? Easy. You want to start with easy. You want to start with getting results. You want to start with as quick as you possibly can, because that's going to build some velocity, momentum, excitement, all these different types of things. So if somebody's entrepreneurial, I'd put a star next to their name if I feel like they're entrepreneurial. If somebody is ambitious, I put another star. So if somebody's entrepreneurial and ambitious, maybe 2 stars next to their name. If they're competitive, have you noticed that competitive people can do well in our business? I'd put another little star next to their name. If they're open-minded, and I found that successful people are generally open-minded. They're always looking for stuff. The closed-minded people are annoying and usually broke. But open-minded, I put a little star next to them as well. Dissatisfied is another. Dissatisfaction, I'm telling you, it might be the biggest. If they're dissatisfied with something in their life necessary that they're willing to make a change, you can work with that. Let me tell you something quickly about dissatisfaction before I continue with the list. So we got entrepreneurial, ambitious, competitive, open-minded, and dissatisfied. When I study the legends, when I study the $1 million earners, $2 million earners, $3 million earners, $4 million earners in network marketing annually, guess what is the number one attribute that they share? They are never satisfied. They're grateful, but they're never satisfied. These people don't get comfortable at 6 figures a year. They don't get comfortable when their bills are paid. They don't get comfortable when their team hits a certain level. They don't get comfortable when they get to the top rank in the company. They just don't. I'm just telling you. So anytime you can find somebody on your team, just a little side pro tip, anytime you can find somebody on your team who is as soon as they achieve something, they're like, what's next? They're not satisfied. Pay attention. Also pay attention to who gets comfortable really, really early. Because from my experience, it's very difficult to help a comfortable person get uncomfortable. They got to do that on their own. You know, it's hard to motivate a comfortable person. So dissatisfied, right? So little pro tip, file that away. Pay attention. If you find somebody in your team that's just constantly, how many of you are dissatisfied generally as a general state? Okay? Look for it. Look for it. Get close to those people. Pour into those people. That's the stuff of future legends. Now, anybody who's looking for additional income, and guess what I know about every entrepreneur? Every entrepreneur I know wants more cash flow. Every $1 million earner, every millionaire I know, like, oh, they're a millionaire. I promise you, they want more cash flow. 100%. And you know what they'll get excited about? They might have a net worth of $50 million tied up in real estate and houses and airplanes and stuff. But if they have a little thing that's just kicking out some cash over here, it's going to make them happy. Even if it's just making them another $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, it's just like, oh, this is my little thing. It's kicking me some extra cash to just go have some fun. I promise. So don't think that wildly successful people aren't interested in extra cash flow. They are. Looking for flexibility. Who has the ability to influence? Who's an influential person? Who can influence other people? Put a star next to their name. Are they influential? Are they a little Pied Piper? When they start doing something, does their whole crew start doing something? When they start reading a book, does their whole crew start reading a book? When they take on a diet, does their whole little crew start taking on the diet? They played pickleball. Guess what? Pretty soon their whole crew's playing pickleball. You know what I mean? The little influential people, pay attention to those. People who respect your opinion. If there's somebody on your list that you believe will respect your opinion, put a star next to their name. That's just easier. Who wants more? Who is looking for more in their life? And then with this, rank them, the most stars you have, rank them easiest to hardest. Okay? Why would you start with the hardest? Rank them easiest, go to them, and go all the way down. Eventually, because again, if you have 1,000 people you're going to go talk to, and you have the ability to rank them, now with those, that let's say you contact a person, and they introduce you to their 1,000. Could you, and you have this list of their 1,000, could you just quick ask them? Okay, let me just go through the list. Who's entrepreneurial? Oh, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Who's competitive? This one, this one. Who's dissatisfied? This one, this one, this one. Right? Who's looking for a challenge? This one. Who's looking for flexibility? This one. Who's influential? This one and this one and this one. Would that be helpful when you reach out to that person and says, this person tells me you're influential. This person tells me you're competitive. This person tells me you're ambitious. This person tells me you're an entrepreneur. Gives you more to talk about, yeah? So rank them easiest to hardest. So as you go through this, let me just recap. Who do you know? Start with the big three: phone, email, social. Build your active candidate list. Don't prejudge anyone. Expand your list. Friends of friends are a huge one. Move heaven and earth to find one if you have to. Get introduced to their world. People you do business with, former associates, people in different professions, states, cities, regions, countries. Always add 2 a day. Constantly be adding. Not only identifying your network, but adding to your network, bringing value to your network, strengthening your network, and then leveraging the network for their contribution or for their benefit. And then identify who's most likely, rank them easiest to hardest: entrepreneurial, ambitious, competitive, open-minded, dissatisfied, looking for more income, looking for more flexibility, already have influence with other people, they respect your opinion, they want something more. Go from easiest to hardest, okay? So that's it for this section. The next one will be connecting with prospects, but I will see you there. Okay, is it, let me see if my phone is right. How you doing? You doing good? Yeah, we hanging in there? All right, cool. That was a little longer, but I wanted to take a few little side journeys on that, like, because that moving heaven and earth to find one changed my whole life. I'll give you another side tip that I didn't want to put in the main course, but I'll give to you. Back then, I the number one earner in my company, he was my upline, but he was like 30 levels above me. He was never going to earn a penny off of anything that I ever did. His name was Jeff or Birdie. He's a legend. He's earned over $100 million in this profession. And I was just trying to get close to him because he was only a couple years older than me, and he was making all the money. And it's just like, wow. And I had run out of prospects. I mean, flat run out. I felt like I had talked to everybody. I didn't talk to my cousins. But I thought I talked to everybody for real. I mean, I had gone through my list. I called them again. Maybe you changed your mind. I mean, I apologized to the ones I screwed up. I mean, they're like, no, I'm still not interested. Nope, still not interested. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Because, I mean, I had gone back to classmates in high school. I had gone to every person I'd worked. I went back to the jobs where I worked to go talk to my old managers. I mean, I walked around in the mall. I put signs in yards. I ran ads in the local newspaper. And in our company back then, people were running ads in that help wanted in the newspaper. And then everybody did it. Marketers ruin everything. Anything that works, marketers just ruin it. And pretty soon there's 40 or 50 ads to our one company in Minneapolis for the same company. So it's like got a little harder. So I went to a convention and I heard that Jeff Verberti, the top earner, was having a leader meeting, just a top leader meeting. And it was going to be in this boardroom. So, and I wasn't a top leader. But I snuck in. So I never mind somebody who sneaks in. So I snuck in, just sat in the corner, listened, took notes, hope nobody made eye contact, kicked me out. And afterwards, I people were leaving, and I said, Mr. Roberti, can I ask you a question? I said, I've run out. I don't have anybody to talk to. He said, oh, you haven't really? I said, honest, and I told him all the things that I'd done. I really feel like I have. And he was the one who told me about Find One. But he gave me another tip. And here was the other tip. Back then, there were some publications that one of them was called Moneymakers Monthly, which was a monthly publication around network marketing. And people would run ads. And in the back, and in the USA Today on Sundays, people would run ads for business opportunity. He said, all right, I'll give you a tip, kid. I said, okay. He said, go get the old copies of Moneymakers Monthly and go get old copies of USA Today. And there's people who ran ads a year ago, 18 months ago, and it probably didn't work out very well. Call them. See how they're doing. The phone, the number's still going to work. And they'll just be people that you can talk to. You could just talk to, hey, how's this strategy working? How's business? How's life? You ever open anything else? If you're happy where you are, fantastic. But if that flamed out, it didn't work, I got something that's working over here. I got some people I'd like to introduce you to. So I use that to be able to just get something started, just to move heaven and earth to get the one, because I was tired of walking around in the mall. Have anybody ever walked around in the mall to try and recruit? Anybody? Doesn't it suck? It's just the worst. I mean, I admire the people that know how to do it. I know some people, friends of mine, that they can go into a Target and recruit all day. They go to a cashier and they just compliment the cashier. They ask them a couple questions, and then they set up some sort of meeting later to be able to rescue that person from being a cashier at Target. They just do that all day. I know other people that literally get in Ubers and go Uber all day, as many short little trips as they possibly can, to talk to as many Uber drivers, because those are little mini entrepreneurs too. So I'll give you a hot tip. Instead of going straight to your hotel, where's your hotel? Where are you staying? Oh, it's 2 miles away. It's too close. Let's say you're staying at the Bellagio. Take 5 Ubers to get there. It'll cost you very close to the same, but you'll have 5 prospects to be able to say, how's it going? If you're doing this, you probably have diversified income. You're probably figuring out ways to make extra money. I'm looking for somebody here in Las Vegas to make some extra money. I don't know if you're a candidate or not, but if you are, I did crazy shit. I did a version of that Uber strategy on an airplane. I literally booked in one day a trip that started in Minneapolis, ended in Minneapolis, started at 8 a.m. and landed at like 10 p.m. And it was like 6 flights for the day. And I made sure I got a middle seat for every flight. So I'd have 2 prospects for the flight. So literally, this is how desperate I was to find one. I would get to the airport. I'd look for sharp people. Wow, you look sharp. My name's Eric. Da, 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 da. And I would talk to the gate agent. How long you been working here? This is not stuff I normally do ever. I'd stand in line. Where you headed? You're very easy. Where are you headed? Oh, I'm headed to Boise. Why Boise? Well, that's a different story. And then I'd say, what do you do? And then they'd say back to me, well, what do you do? Like, well, I'm on a little bit of a tour looking for really sharp people, entrepreneurial. They didn't know it was a one-day tour, like Gilligan's Island, a 3-hour tour, So by the time I landed, I had contact information from, typically from that leg, 3 or 4 people. But that one day I found one guy. His name was Elmer. Elmer from Nebraska. And Elmer was a farmer from Nebraska, and Elmer wanted to do something different with his life. And Elmer and his wife took a liking to me, and we started this conversation. And by the time the day was over, I ended up with like 15 prospects, but Elmer was the one turned into a very significant line for me, like a $10,000 a month line from the one day out doing that. But, what did that cost? You know what that cost me? You know how much a ticket is for something like that? Almost nothing. Nobody wants to do that ticket. A 5 connection flight from Minneapolis to Minneapolis. Nobody wants that flight. You can get that flight cheap. That'll cost you cheaper than driving around town in an Uber. I'm telling you. Really. And here was my favorite thing. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Omaha. You're not going to believe this. No, answer this way. Where are you from? Houston. Guess what? What's your name? Raghu. How you doing, man? Listen, you're not going to believe this. I'm headed to this other city, but I'm looking to expand my business in Houston. I'm looking for sharp people, ambitious people, motivated people, competitive people, somebody who can help me to establish and grow that market. There's big money on the table. Do you know anybody who fits that description that would be sharp enough in order to be able to do it? I can share with you what I have. And if you can make any kind of connections to somebody like that, I'll make it worth your time. There's big money on the table if you know anybody in Houston. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it. Guess what? We got 45 minutes till we get to Dubuque, Iowa, or wherever it is we're landing next. Where are you from? Atlanta, Georgia. You're not going to believe this. I'm looking to build a business in Atlanta, Georgia. That's the next city on my list. Do you know any sharp people there? Yeah, entrepreneurial? Looking for something, open-minded, maybe dissatisfied. These are people that don't fit into the mold, like nonconformist type people, rebellious type people. That's what I'm looking for. Do you know any rebellious type people in Atlanta, Georgia? Yeah, you know some? All right, cool. We need to talk. So either we're talking then or we're going to talk later. Yeah, where are you from? France. Where in France? Mexico, actually. Okay. Where in Mexico? Playa del Carmen. You're not going to believe this. I've just talked with my partners about expanding a business to Playa del Carmen. They're not open yet, but they're getting ready to open in like 2 months. I don't know if you'd ever consider anything. I don't know what you do down there. Tell me what you do, and let's brainstorm a bit, because if you could either make a connection or even better, be the guy. I need a guy in Playa del Carmen that is multilingual, that can help me build a bridge, that can support the people that I'm going to build there. And whoever ends up being that person is going to make some good money. Okay? You're the guy? All right, cool. Let's talk. See what I mean? So I just did that all day. All day. And guess what you can do? Go walk up and down the strip, listen for accents. Next time you talk to anybody, when you're in the bar, you're in the restaurant, where are you from? England. You're not going to believe this. You're just really not. Oh my God. Really? England? Where in England? The Cotswolds. I know about the Cotswolds. You guys are crazy in the Cotswolds. Anyway, so I'm going to help because I'm looking to expand a business in the Cotswolds, specifically in England. Do you know people just there? Do you know people in other areas of England?
Yeah, I know people
all over England. Really?
Yeah.
I need somebody on the ground there that I can support with what I know how to do, your contacts, what I know, the company that I work with could be something special. And guess what? It doesn't have to be full-time. It could be part-time. All right? If you got other stuff going on, I totally get it. But we can do this, something like that together. Is that hard or easy what I'm sharing with you? Not hard for sure. And if you're in Vegas, you should be able to, if you don't have a multi-city, multi-country conversations before you leave Vegas, you missed an opportunity, in my opinion. Because all you got to do is just walk them down, listen for an accent. You'd walk around, listen for an accent, say, "Go, excuse me, a group that's walking. Can you pause for just a second? What's that accent?" "Oh, I'm from Albania." You're not going to believe this. If your company's open in Albania, or wherever, if you listen, you can interrupt somebody anytime and just say, as a group, who's the most entrepreneurial out of this group? "Oh, that's this one." And the other person says, "Hey, screw you, I'm more entrepreneurial." Right? And you say, "Can I buy you guys coffee or something? I got to tell you what I got going in Albania, and it might not be a fit. But I feel like we got connected for some reason. How else would this guy from Vegas get connected to this group from Albania? We need to have a talk. Let me just share with what I have. If nothing, you lost some coffee, or you got some coffee and you lost 15 minutes of your time. Probably saved you from losing money at the tables, right? And if not, we'll high five and we'll stay in touch. Okay, get your contact information, find a way to stay in touch. Off I go. See what I mean? This is my job. This is my profession. This is what I've chosen to do for my living. Do you hear me? So all of these things in recruiting, this is just a little side strategy. Maybe we'll add this to the course. I don't know. Should we add this to the course, this little side strategy? I don't know. The lighting's probably not right, me walking around. But I will tell you, stuff like that. Now, how do you think as an architect? How do you think through what I just shared as far as a long-distance recruiting strategy? As far as listening for languages, as far as where you're from, as far as what do you do, right? Which opens up the door, what do you do? Which leads me, guess what I'm going to do if I sit down with the group from Albania? Am I going to tell them all about my business? No. I'm going to introduce them to third parties. I'm going to introduce them to tools, other people. I'm going to tell them some stories. Invite them to an event of some sort. See what I mean? Because they're my prospects. Because if I overwhelm them with how sharp I am, I might intimidate some of them. It might be too much, right? All right. Let's continue. Okay.